everybody, and thanks for joining Stamp with Tracy for today's Wednesday. Today we're going to be making a card using scrap designer series paper. I've been on that kick lately, trying to use up designer series paper instead of hoarding it. I love it so much I tend to never use it. I just leave it sit there. So I need to start using it. So I have a lot of scrap pieces left over from some that I have used, and here's a great technique to use up some of those scraps. A fellow demonstrator named Dory Schneider shared this a couple of weeks ago on a group page with their upline, and I absolutely loved it, so I wanted to try it as well. So we're going to be using the Painted Christmas Designer Series paper, and there's a bunch of different types of paper in here. It's got a lot of evergreens and pine cones, holly, some pretty berries. Absolutely gorgeous. And it's called Painted Christmas. And this was carried over from last year's mini catalog. And that doesn't happen often with designer series paper. But it was very popular. And it coordinates with two Christmas stamp sets, Christmas to Remember and Christmas Season. And both of these are in the annual catalog. And you can find those in the annual catalog on page 44 and 45, and that designer series paper in the current mini catalog on page 29. So let's get started with showing you what we're going to do. So I have a card base that is 8.5 by 5.5, and that's evening evergreen. And then I have another square piece of evening evergreen that is 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. And then I have a piece of basic white that's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and another piece of basic white that's 2 1/2. So they will be stacked, layered on top of each other like that. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use our designer series paper cut in 1 1/4 inch squares. And I like to lay that out. So I'll start by laying that out. Just set this aside, and I lay it out on my basic white. I'll never stop calling this Whisper White because we had it Whisper White so many years. And get it down so I have my little tiny, just like 1/8 of an inch frame around it. And I'm sort of trying to like alternate light and dark. And you'll see as I add the adhesive onto these that they're basically 4 different sheets of, well, it's actually only 2 sheets, but using both sides of them. So we're getting all these different pieces. Okay, so now I'm going to start with this corner right here, using my Stampin' Seal. And try to get it even top, bottom, left and right. Then I'm going to come in with my other piece. And you can see this is the back with the pine cones on it. So it's the opposite side of that one, actually. And again, trying to be the same top and bottom, left and right. And using our Stampin' Seal for this. And it doesn't really take much of the Stampin' Seal. And again, these squares are 1 1/4 inches. And This is a very, very simple card to make. Probably took me, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes just to cut up these little 1 1/4 inch squares. Didn't take long at all. I really have my Stampin' Seal all junked up, so it's getting caught. I have to clean it up a little bit. October started out a new Stampin' Up year. I want a special thanks to all my customers for keeping me active. I love Stampin' and I don't want to give it up. It sure has changed a lot since COVID started. I would love to get together and stamp again if anybody's interested in possibly doing a Christmas stamp-a-stack. And maybe in January I was thinking about doing a birthday. We'll make 12 birthday cards. So make a note, you're on my Wow Wednesdays, you need to like and comment. So you could comment if that interests you. I'll make sure you get that information. And so there we have that. And then we're going to take our piece of Evening Evergreen and we're going to lay that in there. And that's going to be, what did I say, 2 5/8 is the size of this piece. And it's just going to give us a little tiny white all the way around, which is just what we want. See how nice and perfect that works out. And then on our white, our basic white, that is 2.5 by 2.5, we're going to stamp a sentiment. And this sentiment came from the Christmas to Remember. And it says, "Friends like you make this season special." I love the font on this, and I love the sayings. And I'm using the Evening Evergreen ink for that. And we'll go ahead and layer that right in there. And then we will go ahead and take our 8.5 by 5.5 piece of Evening Evergreen. And fold that so it now is at 4 1/4 by 5.5. I like to use my bone folder to get a nice fold there. And then we'll layer this piece of basic white on top of that. And we have such a nice, easy, simple card, but very, very pretty in less than 10 minutes. Isn't that awesome? So that would be a nice, easy Christmas card. You could get some done and very frequently, and it doesn't take a lot of supplies. The amount of cards you could get out of just 1 pack of designer series paper, I don't know how many you make. I send out over 80 of them. It would be 1 pack of paper would work great. Now let me show you something else that I decided to do. And on this other one that's not non-Christmas, I used the textured chip designer series paper, which has this beautiful gold foil in it. And I've showed this to you before. This is absolutely gorgeous. And this is in the annual catalog as well. Has a matching stamp set. And also you can buy a suite that has some gold distressed paper in it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And that is available in the annual catalog on page, sorry about that, on page 99. You can find that designer series paper as well as the matching stamp set, that beautiful gold distressed paper. I chose to use my fave summer set, Friends Are Like Seashells, and I made it into a thank you card. And here is that designer series paper, again, cut. And I used the embossing folder, and see how you can emboss that all one piece and then cut it up and then use the dies. And I did the seashells and this background and this little seashell all from cutting out one big piece, and then I cut it apart. It's awesome to leave it together, but I also find that I cut it apart a lot. So that is my like everyday one, and I made that into a thank you card so that you could send whatever you wanted to say inside. I didn't stamp anything on the inside for that one. And I will put something on the inside for this one here. I'll use another stamp from that set and add a sentiment to the inside. So I want to thank you very much for joining me for today's Wow Wednesday. Remember, on Wow Wednesdays, you need to like and comment, and I will pick a winner, and that winner will get these 2 cards in the mail. So don't forget to like and comment under today's video. And thanks for joining me for today's Wow Wednesday. Happy stamping, everyone. Bye-bye.